Excellency, Mr. President, heads of state and organizations, it is a great honor to have such an august company here. This is the year when we celebrate the 80th anniversary of the Russian nuclear industry. But there is another reason why we need to have a substantive conversation on the development of nuclear technology. Over the last several years, it has become evident that there is no alternative to peaceful nuclear energy in terms of the future nuclear and energy mix, because it's predictable, it can be operated for many years. Moreover, it has a comprehensively positive impact on the economy as well as on the technological structure of our society, and that is why an increasing number of countries embark upon the path of peaceful nuclear energy. Moreover, it gives an impetus to the development of a number of related technologies, such as computing technology as well as industrial technology, and this is something we need to think about, because technology does not improve our lives per se. We need a new paradigm, a new ideology, namely the paradigm of equal access to the products of technological progress, and we would like to have a discussion on these subjects, and the discussion has already kicked off, because in informal conversation the leaders have had a talk about the present day as well as tomorrow, and it gives me enormous pleasure to give the floor to President Putin. Over to you, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues. We are meeting as part of the Global Atomic Forum. I'm glad to welcome the heads of state and heads of international organizations here, and I look forward to having a joint substantive conversations on issues related to the present day as well as the tomorrow of nuclear energy. This dialogue is particularly important given that a growing number of countries and large companies view peaceful nuclear energy as the most important energy resource for long-term accelerated development. The general public is starting to view nuclear energy as an environmentally friendly technology in a consistent manner. It opens up enormous opportunities. It is evident that there are fundamental reasons that explain such a paradigm shift. And I am not just referring to the reliable solutions that underlie the cutting-edge nuclear energy units. There's another important thing. The thing is, we're entering into a new technological era, which is essentially different, because AI is becoming virtually ubiquitous. In order to process colossal volumes of data, we need significant energy resources. Thus, in the course of this decade alone, the electricity consumption by data centers will have more than tripled. And I would like to point out in that regard that Russia is already building such modular systems for processing data on the basis of our NPPs, because NPPs are the best tool that offers a consistent and permanent supply of electricity. There is another important factor that explains surge in interest in the nuclear power, and that is the high demand for the so-called green technologies, because they minimize the environmental as well as the climate footprint. And I would like to reiterate that NPPs are precisely that. They're a source of clean, low-carbon energy, because they are ahead of other energy sources in terms of ratio between their price, the environmental component, as well as the capability of providing a steady supply of electricity. As a result, by mid-century, if Mr. Gressy, I'm not mistaken, the IAEA forecasts that by the mid-century, the overall capacity of NPPs across the world may increase by more than 2.5%, rising to almost 1,000 gigawatts. And the growing demand for peaceful nuclear energy to a large extent will be accounted for by the countries of the global south and the global east that are improving their technological as well as industrial potential. The development aspirations and the use of peaceful nuclear energy is something that we support. And it gives me great pride to say that Russia is the only country in the world to possess competences along all the components of the technological chain in nuclear energy. And thanks to our security and safety as well as resilience to external influence, the Russian-designed NPPs enjoy the highest demand across the world. I will also add that we are also developing projects in small and modular reactors, both ground-based and floating NPPs. The head of Rosatom has just spoken about that, and very soon we will produce them on a commercial scale. The cornerstone of Russia's leadership is our principled approach. First and foremost, we ensure rigorous compliance with all the contractual obligations that we have assumed. We comply with all of our obligations regardless of the political circumstances. Second, we reject the so-called technological colonialism. That means that we do not make our partners dependent on the Russian technical solutions. Quite the contrary. We assist our partners in building their own sovereign national nuclear industry, including in terms of training professionals and building competencies and centers for such competencies. We are engaging local companies in an active fashion. We provide assistance in operating energy units, ensuring supplies of nuclear fuel and treatment of waste. Furthermore, we share our experience and knowledge in building other cutting-edge industries of the 21st century. I refer to nuclear medicine, digital systems, e-transport, as well as new materials. Hence, we assist our partners in securing a genuine development breakthrough, propelling their economies to a whole new level of efficiency, ensuring a higher standard of living for the citizens. All of that constitutes the important public and social dimension to our activities. It also serves as a visible testament to the fact that equal access to technology, including in peaceful nuclear energy, can ensure dynamic as well as fair and sustainable global development. Distinguished colleagues, we believe that the peaceful nuclear energy technologies constitute a foundation for broad-based international cooperation for bringing countries together. Russia is interested in fostering stable, long-term environment for projects in nuclear. Our country's absolute priority is ensuring nuclear security and safety for both nuclear installations and facilities, regardless of where they are located. Thus, it is important to further improve the security guidelines and reliability guidelines at every stage of nuclear cycle, starting from uranium extraction to operation of reactors to treatment of spent nuclear fuel and radioactive waste. And we need to regulate this field in such a way to strike the optimal balance between the development of peaceful nuclear energy and reinforcing the non-proliferation regime. Moving on, it is evident that the construction of NPPs requires significant funds, and that means that the risks and benefits have to be well balanced between the major participants of such projects. I refer to states, investors, and consumers. I believe we need to build modern funding models for NPP constructions. We need to engage international financial institutions as well as development banks in such projects. And I would like to add in that regard that at the beginning of this year, the NDB established by BRICS countries has reaffirmed its willingness to fund nuclear projects, and at the end of last year, at Russia's initiative, a new mechanism for coordinating BRICS countries was established, namely the BRICS Nuclear Energy Platform. The most important thing is to provide our NPPs with resources for decades to come. In order to use peaceful nuclear energy in the long run, we need more efficient technology based on completely new principles, and Russia is already working on such solutions. In the run-up to this session, colleagues and I, before we came to this room, we had a sit-down and we exchanged our opinions in an informal environment, and I would like to say that the OECD estimates that under the optimistic scenario, all the uranium resources will have been completely exhausted by 2090. that is around 8 million tons of uranium. But in practical terms, it can happen as soon as 2060. So very soon, right in front of us, this can happen. Because the thing is, 1/4 of uranium deposits is accounted for by deposits of metals where uranium is but an associated component. And that is where I'm moving on to. This is the most important thing. By 2030, as soon as 2030, in Tomsk region in Russia, we plan to launch the world's first nuclear power system with a closed nuclear fuel cycle. What does it signify? This is a revolutionary invention by Russian engineers and scientists. It means that almost all of the volume of fuel, 95% of spent nuclear fuel, will be reused multiple times in reactors. This mechanism will allow us to almost fully address the problem of the pile-up of radioactive waste. And most importantly, it'll help us address the issue of securing supplies of uranium. I would also like to say that the testing for all the materials that will be used for the closed nuclear cycle is scheduled to take place at the International Research Center, which is currently constructed in Ulyanovsk region. I would like to invite scientists from different countries to cooperate with us, because this is the advent of a new era. Dear friends, our meeting here, the Global Atomic Forum, is scheduled to take place because there are two important dates. We're celebrating first the 80th anniversary of the Russian nuclear industry, as well as the Nuclear Industry Workers' Day, which is celebrated annually in our country on September the 28th. And I'll remind you, we've just talked about that with colleagues, but I'd like to say that in a broader audience. The first decision happened on September the 28th, 1942, in the Soviet Union. Back then, the Great Patriotic War was in full swing. The outcome had not been certain yet. That was still the most dramatic stage of the Great Patriotic War, because the Battle of Stalingrad was in full swing. It was still ongoing. And the State Defense Committee made a decision on starting working on uranium. And I would like to sincerely offer my congratulations to the Russian nuclear industry workers, scientists, and the veterans, as well as the guests of the forum, and on your behalf, the professionals from former USSR republics that are brought together by the traditions of the great Soviet Ministry of Medium Machine Building. These traditions have to be kept up. I would like to wish you every success for the benefit of the citizens of our countries, and without exaggeration, for the benefit of humanity at large. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, thank you very much for your constant support, as well as for these warm congratulations. It's a great honor as well as great responsibility. We have to do everything that you've instructed us to do. Gathered here today are countries that are embarking on their nuclear path, and there are also countries that have rich experience of working in the nuclear. In 2023, we commissioned a nuclear facility to President Lukashenko, a 2-unit NPP. It accounts for 40% of electricity produced in Belarus. Moreover, it is also a showcase for many countries, because Ostrovets is a magnet for people from all across countries. They come there, and Belarusian specialists share their experience. President Lukashenko, thank you for your personal contribution to this project. You made the decision on the construction, and you provided your patronage until the very end. And a huge thank you, because in 2023 you asked us not to withdraw from Belarus, to stay there and build a whole cluster of high-tech projects, and that is what we're involved in right now. Over to you, President Lukashenko.
Dear friends, before I'll say a couple of words on the topic, I would like to draw your attention to the following. Let me say a couple of words about this forum. You know, the situation Russia is in, we can see all sorts of publications about our countries. We see all the sorts of insults. We are called aggressors and co-aggressors. Well, it's not a secret. Russia, just as other countries present here, has enough problems. Particularly, the Russian Federation has lots of problems. And the struggle is ongoing that will be judged in the future. Nonetheless, what are we talking about today? Are we talking about war? Are we talking about war problems? No, not in the least. It's upon Russia's initiative that has lots of problems. We are talking about peaceful nuclear applications. We've come here for a forum where this same Russia is sharing its expertise. Can you name a couple of other countries that possess similar technologies and who would so openly and frankly say, come and see, here are the most advanced technologies. Technologies that countries normally don't share. Believe me, I'm an old and experienced politician, and I know almost all countries engaged in these sorts of things. I've visited some of the countries, but to imagine that a country invites others to show its own technologies, to say, come and here, we'll teach you. I know no similar country. Russia has lots of technologies in the field, and I don't say it because Russia is our big brother. Well, it's a joke, of course. It's not because we are friends with President Putin. But tell me if I'm wrong. In the war times, Russia revealed the most sensitive sector, and Russia demonstrated it in the case of Belarus. Russia has constructed more NPPs than any other countries, and it will construct even more units. But Russia did more. It said, come, we'll share with you our expertise, and we'll construct you a nuclear power plant. We'll construct the research power plant. Mr. Kiriyenko said, we will construct for you a most advanced NPP. I thank Mr. President, who said, we'll teach you how to construct NPPs, and together with us, you'll construct NPPs all across the world. And together, we constructed an NPP based on the most advanced project. We constructed the most up-to-date, the most beautiful nuclear power plant. It's operational today. Different sorts of things happened. We had to adjust and readjust something, and the West blocked supplies of some spare parts, and Russia proposed substitutions, and we improved the NPP with Mr. Likachev. So, Mr. President, thank you very much. Sergei, Alexei, thank you so much. I forgot your family names because I always call you by your first name. Thank you for having implemented this project. Well, you said Russia doesn't leave Belarus. Well, we'll have a talk with President Putin tomorrow, and we'll take the decision regarding the second NPP in Belarus. It's out of question. There is now even. It's not a question who will build the NPP. We will build it ourselves. And now we are already involved in the construction of the NPPs in other countries in the world. So I reiterate, there will be many NPPs, but what Russia is doing today would be impossible for any other country. It is a great thing that Russia is implementing today, and for that it is honored and respected in the world. And as for Mr. Likachov and other nuclear experts, I would like to join the words of congratulations expressed by Mr. President. You are doing great. Thank you for having invited us to this forum. It is an important area. Today, it was demonstrated to us what Russia can accomplish. The Atomic Week is a bright example of uncontested leadership of Russia in the field of nuclear science and various nuclear technologies on the world scale. Well, Mr. Likachev, I'm not going to read out what was prepared for me by my experts, but I publicly, officially ask you not to leave Belarus. And I think I'll be able to convince the President of Russia that works should be continued in Belarus, and not only as regards implementation of our plans that were conceived under Mr. Kirienko. We have to develop our cooperation in other non-energy applications, for example, in the field of medicine and public health. And, Mr. President, I believe we should resume our work regarding a nuclear center in Belarus. I have preserved this center as it was in the Soviet times under the control of Mr. Grossi. Lots of materials are there, and you know that we stick to our obligations. But I would like to thank you, Mr. Grossi, for having been a real man. You remember our NPP was seriously politicized. We were accused of building something wrong. Americans were against, and the Europeans were outraged. You have visited this NPP many times, and openly, publicly before the journalists, you said, don't attack Belarus. Together with Russia, they are constructing the most advanced NPP. There are no questions to them. Well, and if you asked questions, we always provided answers. A former minister and the current vice president of our government is present here, who was in charge of construction of this NPP. You've accomplished an enormous job, and you were always sincere and frank, and thank you. So Mr. Putin said if Mr. Grossi wants to head the UN, we'll have no objections. Thank you so much for everything you have accomplished. What happened in the past to what has been achieved by human beings in the past will be repaid in future. Thank you, Mr. President, for the science, for your lessons. Thank you for having made our country true nuclear power. You've spared no secrets. You have observed international law, the principles of international law, and you are ready to continue the work not only in Belarus but also in the international arena while helping to construct the NPPs. We already know how to do everything. Mr. Kirienko would hardly believe if we would tell him what we already can do. We can't construct a reactor. That's what you can do. We don't need these technologies. But as for the rest, we can do it, and we are ready to do it for other countries. And those who are still not sure what sort of NPP they want to construct, well, I can say we guarantee the high quality. You are always welcome. If President approves of it, we are ready to start the work. Thank you for this invitation. Thank you, Mr. Lukashenko. And another NPP that we are proud of. It has been operational since 1977 in Armenia. In 1988, it sustained a Spit-Ak earthquake, and it is the only NPP that has sustained, endured such an earthquake. And together with Rosatom, with our assistant, this NPP remains operational. Well, Mr. Pashinyan, we say the NPP is ours, but it's our pride. And it has its operational time has been extended until 2036, and We support this decision, and we understand how important the next steps will be. You determine the future of your country for at least 100 years to follow. We'll do everything to make sure that all interests of Armenian people are observed and respected. Over to you. Thank you, Mr. Likachev. Thank you, Mr. Putin, heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to express my deep gratitude for this invitation to participate in this important international event, the World Atomic Week. We are grateful for the warm hospitality and organization of this event at such a high level. I would like to congratulate the Russian Federation on the 80th anniversary of the establishment of the nuclear industry in Russia. It is a milestone in the nuclear and in the scientific and technical development. It is a nice coincidence that the forum is held in the year where we celebrate the 80th anniversary, birth anniversary of the former engineer of Eduard Isakov, a former engineer of the Armenian NPP, whose legacy is enormous. The nuclear energy plays an important role in ensuring clean energy supplies. It contributes to the reduction of CO2 emissions and helps us achieve the low-carbon development goals. Right implementation of digital technologies and artificial intelligence enhances the energy consumption, and in its turn, it makes nuclear energy even more relevant as a stable and environmentally friendly source of energy. In the future, nuclear energy will be an important element of a sustainable energy mix. At the same time, we have to make sure that nuclear safety's security are ensured. Armenia takes its international obligations very seriously, and it reaffirms its commitment to the standards and principles of international non-proliferation regime. Ladies and gentlemen, given these considerations, the government of Armenia has adopted the policy to preserve the nuclear power plant as an important element of the energy mix of our country. Today, about 30% of all electricity in Armenia is produced at the Armenian NPP. Safe operation of the Armenian nuclear power plant is a strategic priority for the government of Armenia, and it plays a central role in ensuring our energy security. We implement the NDCs. At the same time, the strategic importance of nuclear energy is something what makes us particularly responsible before the future generations. We take efforts in order to maintain the highest safety standards in the operation of our NPP. We hold regular missions in order to check the NPPs, and the reports clearly demonstrate that Armenia is operating the NPP in accordance with the IAEA safety standards. There have been no incidents related to radio or radiation security and safety. This principle has been at the core of a major renovation that was conducted in the NPP in recent years, and thanks to this fact, we managed to extend its time of operation until 2036. Based on the international expertise, Armenia, just as other countries, took the decision to extend the lifetime of its NPP for the second time from 2026 to 2036. The modernization project and extension of the lifetime of the NPP is not only a technical task, but it is a result of a trustful and fruitful cooperation between Armenia and Rosatom, as well as other international partners. This extension will lay a solid foundation for a smooth transition to a new energy unit when the lifetime of the Armenian NPP expires, which is our final goal. In this context, Armenia intends to continue to cooperate closely with IAEA and with our partner countries in order to find an optimum solution as regards the substitution of the existing unit, taken into account economic considerations and safety and security considerations, as well as the peculiarities of our energy system and energy mix. New energy facilities, which will be commissioned, will be an important factor of our national development. I would like to seize this opportunity to express my gratitude to all experts involved for the work they have accomplished, and once again I would like to congratulate you on this anniversary. I hope for the continued cooperation, and I hope the works will be accomplished in accordance with the schedule. Our transparent policy in the field of safe use and peaceful use of nuclear energy is a basis for the research, for the nuclear research. Non-energy applications of nuclear technologies, such as medicine, environment, agriculture, science and education, are in the focus of our country, and we note with gratitude the assistance and expert support, knowledge and recommendations on the part of IAEA and the partner countries. They play an important role in development of these sectors in our country. We hope that mutually beneficial cooperation with international partners in the peaceful nuclear applications will further develop. Together, we can create a sustainable future for our countries. We can direct our efforts at the development of new technologies and enhancing the security and safety and protection of environment. Thank you for your attention. Thank you so much, Mr. Pashinyan. As I've already said, there are countries at our table who are making the first steps on their way to the World Energy Club. And at the beginning of every journey, the personality of the person who is making the first steps are very important. Mr. Min Aung Hlaing personally supervised the development of nuclear energy in his country in 2023, and it is our intention to support Myanmar in implementation of this project. We've signed several documents. This year we started the work in a specific project of a small NPP. The terrible earthquake didn't stop us, an earthquake that the people of Myanmar have endured. And it is important for us to see the support of the people of Myanmar for this project. Excellency, Mr. Min Aung Hlaing, over to you.
Distinguished delegates and His Excellency President Vladimir Putin and all leaders from the country attending this forum. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for inviting me to this forum and for granting me the opportunity to deliver a speech at this forum, and particularly to His Excellency President Vladimir Putin. And it is my great honor. Leaders, ladies and gentlemen, this forum held in conjunction with the 80th anniversary for the nuclear industries of Russian Federation not only highlights the history of how nuclear energy and technology have contributed to global energy needs, agriculture, medicines, and industry, but also serve as a forum for discussing and sharing ambitious goals for the future of the nuclear industry. As the themes of this forum state, everything starts with an atom. Indeed, all matters in the universe, including ourselves, is composed of atoms. As we all know, harnessing the immense nuclear power within the atom's nucleus has significantly advanced not only electricity generation, but also the fields of medicine, agriculture, and industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the Russian Federation, since the Soviet era, starting on June 26, 1954, was one of the first countries to generate and distribute electricity from nuclear power. Currently, the Russian Federation is also the only country successfully operating first breeder reactors, which can produce new fuel. Over the past 80 years, I would like to wholeheartedly commend and pay tribute to all the scientists, engineers, policymakers, and visionaries who have steadfastly transformed the nuclear sectors of the Russian Federation into a beacon of knowledge, innovation, and the development of peaceful nuclear science. Global energy demand is increasingly annually. According to the International Energy Agency IEA report, it is projected to grow by 2.2% in 2025 compared to last year. Currently, nuclear energy meets about 9% of global energy demand. In line with the world net zero carbon emission goals, plans are being implemented to jointly utilize renewable energies and nuclear power. Nuclear energy is a green energy source with low carbon emission and can provide stable electrical power. Furthermore, in agriculture, nuclear technology supports the production of safer, more secure food that is more resilient to climate change. Programs such as mutation breeding have produced crops resistant to drought, pests, and diseases, while the sterile insect techniques, SIT, can reduce pesticide use, protect ecosystems, and ensure sustainable harvests. This is highly beneficial for agricultural countries like ours. In medicines, radioisotopes and nuclear imaging technologies have revolutionized disease diagnosis and treatment, early detections of cancers, and precise targeted treatment through radiotherapy save millions of lives annually and improve quality of life for countless people. Nuclear medicine is a prime example of science serving humanity. While the peaceful application of nuclear energy in various fields brings in great benefits to humankind, it also has its challenges. When utilizing nuclear energy, it is necessary to properly manage radioactive waste to avoid harming the natural environment and ecosystem, prevent radiation leaks from nuclear materials, and implement systematic preemptive safety measures to ensure reliable security and prevent nuclear accidents. Ladies and gentlemen, Myanmar, starting in 2022, has been working on nuclear energy development by signing MOU on cooperation with Rosatom of Russian Federation. This has laid the foundational cornerstone for nuclear energy development of Myanmar. On February 2023, we were able to open Nuclear Technology Information Center in Yangon. This has enabled us to use multimedia to enhance public understanding of Russian nuclear power plants and technology, given Russia's extensive experience and top-tier status in the nuclear field. And also in February 2023, term of reference for cooperation between Ministry of Science and Technology of Myanmar and the Russian Federation was signed. And also Science Festival 2023 and 2024 were successfully held at our Nuclear Technology Information Center and Yangon Technology University. Through the scholarship program offered by Rosatom, we are collaborating on the continuous development of human resources required for nuclear energy and technology, including the operational requirements for small modular reactors. Myanmar is implementing its nuclear energy program in accordance with IAEA's milestone approach, 3 phases and 3 stages, and also working according to Rosatom timeline. Ladies and gentlemen, Myanmar has been a member of IAEA since 1957 and has participated in its technical cooperation program. IAEA has provided support through the project funding, the supplies of equipment, and the enhancement of infrastructure. Additionally, we are cooperating through the participation in technical cooperation programs for human resource development, provision of technical training, and implementation of technical cooperation projects. In 2024, we attended a workshop on nuclear law convened by IAEA, and we are currently in the process of revising and drafting Myanmar's nuclear law. In 2025, a regional training course on sitting for small nuclear power plants, part of the National Nuclear Program implementation, was held by Rosatom Technical Academy and IAEA. Delegates from 80 countries, including Myanmar, attended. Although Myanmar, as an IAEA member state, has long strived to utilize nuclear technology in the country, progress has been slow for various reasons. However, since initiating cooperation with Russia in 2022, with the multifaceted support from Russia, significant and visible progress has been achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, as nuclear energy is a green energy source with low carbon emission, Myanmar aims to generate stable electricity from nuclear power to foster national economic development. Myanmar has a high electricity demands and is striving to supply power for small-scale industries and rural populations. Furthermore, we will work to further develop the health, agriculture, and industrial sector using nuclear technology. For the continuous development of human resources, MOU for educational cooperation between universities in Russia and Myanmar had been signed, and implementation is underway. Myanmar will closely cooperate with Rosatom for construction of small-scale nuclear power plants in Myanmar, and we desire to cooperate with Russia across other various sectors, including necessary infrastructure. I earnestly request that the Russian Federation and Rosatom continue to assist Myanmar to the best of their ability in establishing necessary nuclear infrastructure, human resources, and other requirements for building a small nuclear power plant in Myanmar. Similarly, I also earnestly request that IAEA continue to assist in human resource development for Myanmar implementation of its nuclear energy program. Distinguished delegates, in conclusion, Myanmar also wishes to cooperate with the countries attending this forum in appropriate sectors related to nuclear technology. I extend my special gratitude for the attentive listening, allowed with the invitation to enhance partnership, collaborative activities and cooperation between Myanmar and your nation. May atomic energy contribute to the peace, prosperity, and development of the world. People, I offer my best wishes for health and happiness of your citizens and prosperity and advancement of your nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Certainly, we're going to do everything to follow your instructions, and I'm confident Mr. Grossi is going to do everything in his power to address the tasks that you've just evoked. The African continent is the most promising, the most dynamic, whereas the Federative Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, no doubt, is one of Africa's industrial leaders. His Excellency, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, has recently announced a decision on the construction of a first NPP, which is going to be on par with the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. And we are inspired by this announcement of yours, Prime Minister. We're already working based on the platform of Center for Nuclear Research and Technology. We're going to do everything in our power to ensure the supply of energy to the growing population of Ethiopia. Over to you, Prime Minister.
Your Excellency, Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking President Putin for the invitation and the warm welcome extended to me and my delegation. It is an honor to join you at the opening of the World Atomic Week, a gathering of minds committed to the promise of science for a cleaner, more equitable future. Ethiopia stands at a pivotal moment. Our youths are vibrant, our cities are modernizing, our industries are growing, and our economy is among the fastest rising in the world. But our ambitions are higher. Ambitions that demand reliable, clean, and scalable energy. Hydropower, solar, and wind have carried us far. Yet alone, they cannot power the future we are building. For more than a decade, Ethiopia has been a champion of green energy. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the largest in Africa, stands as a symbol of our determination. Our vision goes beyond today. To transform our nation, we look ahead and embrace with what is possible. Nuclear technology is that possibility. It provides reliable, low-emission power, strengthens food security, equips doctors, optimizes water management, and empowers our scientists to innovate. For Ethiopia, nuclear is not only about energy, it's about people. It will unlock knowledge for our students, provide tools for farmers, and bring healing to patients. It is about expanding a foundation where opportunities multiply. We will pursue this responsibly with careful planning, the highest safety standards, and by building a strong local capacity. For us, nuclear power is a strategic step in becoming an active participant in artificial intelligence, in industry, and innovation. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in this context, I wish to recognize the Russian Federation, which this year celebrates 80 years of its nuclear industry. Russia has shown the world what science can achieve when matched with vision. Ethiopia is ready to deepen partnership with Russia, combining their expertise with our skilled workforce and growing market to create a model of cooperation that powers our nation and inspires our continent. With more than 130 million people, we cannot afford to wait. Nuclear energy is essential to secure long-term development, diversify our energy mix, and realize Ethiopia's potential. Our goal is clear: a nuclear program that is safe, transparent, and exemplary. That's why we have chosen to pursue the peaceful use of nuclear energy with seriousness and alignment with international standards. We're also enjoying huge amount of support from IAEA. Mr. Grossi is our partner on building this project. Ethiopia has already taken concrete steps. A roadmap with the Russian Federation lays out plans to build nuclear infrastructure, train personnel, and strengthen regulatory frameworks. A nuclear science and technology center is about to be established, and cooperation in peaceful applications of nuclear science is expanding. We are building the institutions, training talent, and designing a future where nuclear energy strengthens our sovereignty, supports our growth, and serves the next generation. We are committed to partnerships based on trust, knowledge, and mutual respect. And we welcome cooperation in technology transfer and safety training and reflect the realities of our economies. Together, we can turn ambition into achievement and challenges into possibilities. I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Prime Minister. Our country, the Soviet Union, stood at the origins of the establishment of the IAEA, and right now Russia supports by every means non-politicized professional activities pursued by the IAEA. We are confident that in future its role is only going to grow, it's going to become more complex, and it gives me great pleasure to give the floor to Rafael Grossi, Director General of the IAEA. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, thank you for having us today. I am very impressed by what I'm hearing, because what I'm hearing is a confirmation that we have indeed turned the page in a very decisive way. For us, it is about accompanying you. It is about facilitating. It is about enabling. It is about putting oil and not sand in the wheels. And this is the way in which we believe regulation from the IAEA should be understood. So in very concrete terms, I don't want to get into very solemn declarations here. In very concrete ways, how we are doing this? We are doing this, first of all, in helping you to deliver, and those vendors like Rosatom to be able to partner with countries and to do it in a way which is perfectly aligned with the safe and secure use of the atom. For developing countries, we need and we have established platforms, human resources, as our friends from Myanmar were saying, human resource development. You need it. You have to be able to host a nuclear facility. It's not as, as easy as that. So we work together, and this is number one. Number two is very important also in this perspective, and I'm grateful, Mr. President, that you mentioned that the international finance institutions that until just a few months ago were banning anything having the word nuclear. Amazing. But it was the case. They were saying, if it's nuclear, we don't do it. It is forbidden. So that aberration has stopped. In June, I signed an agreement with the president of the World Bank. And by the way, thank you very much also, Mr. President, for this leadership with the MDB. if you want, I think the IEA should also partner with the MDB. We haven't done it yet, and perhaps what you said today gives me a great idea to have an MOU with the MDB of the BRICS and try to help as well. What are we doing? It's very simple. For countries, African countries, Latin American countries, when they have a project, they can go, when they go to the World Bank or the MDB in the future, or the African Development Bank, they can turn to us. We can have a very thorough safety, security, technology assessment, which gives to the boards of these banks the assurance that they want, the assurance that they need, that they can move forward. So this is a very practical way forward that I would like to mention. And the last point would be about these future technologies. I think everybody's talking about modularity. This is all fine, but we also need to make it possible to be delivered to our countries. And I say our because I come from a developing country as well. So here we need to understand that this is a new format for an old technology. And we have to understand what it takes to absorb these technologies. There are amazing possibilities here, the SMRs that Rosatom is developing. Other countries are also getting into this business of the SMRs and also the micro reactors. We mentioned as well that for the first time in history, this is very interesting, for the first time in history, demand is driving nuclear. And we have this example for, in the area, which was mentioned also today, of artificial intelligence, data centers, and all of this. So I invite you all. In December in Vienna, we are going to have the first international conference of nuclear and AI. So we are bringing all the companies from Russia, from the West, from Asia, that are into this marriage, that it's about to be consummated, but we have to see how it's going to work. So this is my idea. We are a service to all of you. So we have to look at technology deployment, the money, which is very important, and the future. And the future means also, and Russia is again a pioneer in this, floating nuclear power plants, very important even for developing countries. That provides very interesting ways for countries that have weak grids, but also the transformation of the naval shipping industry into nuclear, which is another up-and-coming tendency that it is coming, and the IAEA is also coming with Atlas, Atomic Technologies License for Applications at Sea, Atlas, which is a new project that we are going to be launching. So, as you can see, and fusion, of course. This is the country of the tokamak, Mr. President. Again, Russia, then the Soviet Union was ahead of the game, and still today, tokamak is one of the avenues for fusion. And fusion is coming to the market, which is amazing. People used to say fusion is the energy of the future that will always be the energy of the future. Not anymore. So this is a time of possibility. The IEA is there to help you. Thank you, Mr. President, for having us all. Thank you, Alexei, for the possibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grossi. Raphael, thank you. Indeed, there are different views on nuclear fusion and its future, but the most important thing is that tokamak is a Russian word. It's a Russian abbreviation. It's the toroidal chamber with magnet. Once again, thank you to IAEA Director General, and we're moving on to the next stage of our discussion. With your permission, distinguished leaders, I would like to give the floor to those who are responsible at the level of their national countries for the nuclear projects. We'll start with Iran. For more than a decade, Bushehr 1 has been in operation. The project started back in the 70s, but then it was abandoned by the German and French specialists, but the Iranian and Russian specialists have done the impossible. They've relaunched that, and they have introduced Russian equipment into the Western-built containment. More than 70 billion kilowatt hours has already been produced. We move on to the second two energy blocks, and I would like to give the floor to Mohammad Islami, Vice President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, as well as the President of the Organization for Atomic Energy of Iran. Over to you, sir. Good afternoon, Excellencies, President Putin of the Russian Federation, Excellency, Director General of Rosatom, Mr. Likachev, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate Russia on the 80th anniversary of the nuclear industry. I would like to wish the government of the Russian Federation, as well as the people of Russia, as well as my dear colleague, Mr. Likachev, and his colleagues, all the best, good health, and good success. Excellencies, last year we celebrated the 50th anniversary since the establishment of the Organization of Atomic Energy of Iran. 50 years of effort by Iranian specialists has allowed us to turn this industry into a symbol of scientific progress and development. Despite impediments and difficulties and obstacles created by the US, as well as 3 European countries, Iran's nuclear industry has managed to achieve the highest level of scientific progress and technology. We have always faced opposition from the US, as well as 3 European countries, which is exemplified by the sanctions, industrial sabotage, terror, intimidation, as well as military aggression. And of course, this is not confined to the current stage of history. There are deep historical roots, and they understand this truth very well. And in private conversations, they admit that Iran's nuclear program poses no threat whatsoever. But we understand that the pressure is constantly increasing, and the pressure we are currently facing seeks to dismantle our nuclear program. They want us to have no nuclear program, nor do they want us to pursue this nuclear program with the compliance of nuclear standards. Since George Ford, there's been a lot of discussions, and $1 billion has been invested into the Iranian nuclear program. The European company Erdiv,
they agreed to make sure that Iran invents into this European company, and for Iran to be a partner of this company of Moridiv. Today it is called Uranomy. Now this company is located in France. In parallel, German and French companies launched a project to construct NPPs in Iran. At the same time, they didn't observe the obligations, and they ditched these projects halfway. And I would like to once again say that we've paid 1 billion euros to France for them to participate in this project, to establish several power units. But after all of that, no single company that wanted to cooperate with us continued their works. Thanks to the initiative of other countries and the Zionist regime, they created the so-called Iranian dossier and falsified documents against the Islamic Republic of Iran and imposed sanctions and imposed great pressure in order to stop Iran and to make it capitulate, which of course is never going to happen. We would like to say to the European countries and the United States of America The people of Iran will never surrender to your dirty will. You should never lie. You should tell the truth to the peoples of the world. Abandon your policy of Prussia. Never seek to loot the resources of the peoples of the world, as you did it during the times of slavery and colonialism. The Iranian nuclear program is transparent, and the International Atomic Energy Agency spent 80% of its budget under your project for the guarantees, and now it faces difficulties, and there are obstacles for the Iranian nuclear program. I would like to say to these countries, stop it. The Iranian nuclear program is transparent, and we are never going to abandon this route. You know that tough inspections are being conducted in Iran. Only 3% of world nuclear energy are produced in Iran, but we host 25% of inspections. The project that the Germans dodged in Iran, Rosatom started to revive, and we thank our Russian companies. We continue the work on this project. It was very difficult. It is an unprecedented experience, but we have managed to integrate the Russian and German technologies. And now we have the technology. We've launched the Bushehr NPP. This NPP is working, is operational. And out of 100 points, it has received 100 points. It produces the energy volumes that we need. And this project is ongoing. Today we are in Moscow. Mr. Putin has agreed with our president to cooperate in future, and they have set the task. We have set ourselves the task to implement everything our leaders have agreed upon. We will construct high-yield NPPs and small NPPs. We agreed with Rosatom to construct such NPPs, and we'll continue going down this path. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now let's move on to Central Asia, and I would like to give the floor to representative of Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan's president has taken the course to revive the nuclear energy. 2017, the Institute of Nuclear Physics has been revived, and 2018 we signed an agreement to construct a first NPP. 2019 we opened a branch of MEFI University. In 2024 we signed the documents to construct a small NPP in Uzbekistan. We've added 2 units to this design, and negotiations are ongoing. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Hodjayev, and I would like to ask you this. What is the balance? What's the essence? What's the importance of the regional aspect? I'm talking about the GZAC region, and what's the national effects? What's the role of nuclear competences in your view? Thank you so much. Mr. Likachev, Mr. President, Excellencies, heads of state and government, heads of international organizations, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of President Mirziyoyev, I would like to express my gratitude for the invitation to participate in the Global Energy Forum and discuss the future of energy. For many years, Uzbekistan has been one of the major uranium producers. We account for more than 4% of world resources, and annually we produce more than 2.5 tons. Our country is among the dozen top producers, and we remain a main partner in the global fuel cycle. It is a real basis, it is real industrial expertise which helps us continue to develop this sector. And now, upon instruction of under the leadership of Mr. Medvedev, we proceed to our own generation with the use of peaceful nuclear technologies. Our work is multifaceted. We cooperate with Rosatom to implement the first NPP in Jizak region. We will build 2 reactors, 1,000 megawatt each, and 2 small reactors, 55 megawatt each. Which makes it possible to produce 2.1 gigawatt, and the capacities will be flexible. By 2030, the NPPs will produce over 15 billion kilowatt per hour. It is part of a diversification strategy for our energy. By 2030, the share of clean energy in Uzbekistan should be more than 40%. The NPP will make a great contribution to this goal. In parallel, we implement projects in renewables. By 2030, we plan to put in operation over 12 gigawatt of solar and wind energy, which strengthens the sustainability of our energy system and enhances the role of renewables. So we have the large NPPs provide predictability, and small NPPs offer reserves for the small and solar and wind power stations. So nuclear technologies will be not only a source of clean energy, but also a systemic element which will help us increase the role of renewables in the industrial use. An additional topic is the training of experts. There will be ongoing and lifelong training system for the nuclear field, which will cover all stages of training, starting from the school education to postgraduate education. And there will be a system of training centers, where there will be kindergartens in order to promote interest to exact sciences, to physics and mathematics, in order for the children to have the right understanding of peaceful applications of nuclear energy. We will open Kurchatov classes in some schools in Tashkent and in some other cities. A branch of MIFI University in Tashkent will train nuclear experts. About 30 students will have necessary education in order to make sure that the operation is ensured by national experts. In the MIFI University, our students are already receiving education, and in November this year, we will announce the opening of a master program in Tashkent University. There is an agreement between Rosatom and the MIFI University in order to launch an advanced engineering school, which will train highly qualified engineers. The revival of a national nuclear education is our key goal. It is important for us to make sure that we have applied use of nuclear technologies. We will construct labs, and we plan to build 10 specialized labs. Now, as for the importance of the project in Jizak region, let me say that construction of the NPP offers not only additional generation, but also long-term industrialization of the region. Over the past 5 years, industrialization has been ongoing. We open plants to produce the construction materials. There are industrial clusters. All of this requires huge energy resources, and an NPP will create lots of advantages for the region. It will enhance the volumes of power production, and the use and construction of NPP will create new jobs At this stage of construction, there will be new 12,000 new jobs. Besides that, the town of nuclear experts will be built. It will be a smart city combining new technologies, clean energy, and it will be a center of life for many people. The project will attract investment to the region, which will contribute to the development of infrastructure, including roads, housing, and social infrastructure. Together with our partners, we are open for broad international cooperation, starting from engineering and localizing the equipment and to the training. IAEA has declared it is ready to provide comprehensive support to the development of national nuclear infrastructure of Uzbekistan as regards regulations and technical aspects in order to ensure sustainable and safe implementation of nuclear technologies. With our colleagues, we consider a possibility to create an international consortium with the world's leading suppliers of non-energy nuclear technologies. This project for us is not only a step towards energy independence, but also an example of strategic cooperation with the Russian Federation. Thanks to the experience, expertise, and technologies of Rosatom, we are able to implement a unique NPP in our region. And for our colleagues, it is a possibility to once again demonstrate the efficiency of their solutions and lay the foundation for joint productions. Thus, the NPP will be a symbol of new industrialization of Uzbekistan, a driver of modernization of our energy, and a solid foundation for strategic cooperation between our countries for decades ahead. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you, Excellency. And now I suggest that we move to the north of Africa. World's largest energy project is implemented there in Egypt. In El Dabar, 4 power units are being constructed. It is supervised by the Minister of Renewables of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Mahmoud Asmat. And we work together, and we are guided by the instructions of the President of Egypt, Mr. Al-Sisi, who repeatedly said that nuclear energy is a long-time dream of the people of Egypt, and Mr. Eastman will work together in order to make this dream reality. Over to you, Mr. Minister. Thank you so much. Excellency, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank President Putin for this honor to participate in this forum. I would like to convey best greetings from President Sisi. Thank you, Mr. Likhachev, for this invitation. As you said in your introductory remarks, for Egypt, an NPP is not only a source of nuclear and of energy. Indeed, it is a new technology which we are implementing in the Egypt state, and we add it to our energy mix. We develop our technologies and science, and it helps us train a new generation of young people who will have such competences that will be enough to operate an NPP. We trust the Rosatom Corporation. It works together with the Office of Nuclear Energy in Egypt. The project is implemented in accordance with the set timeline. We hope that 4,800 megawatt will be added to our energy mix. It will reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. 19 million tons of cubic meters of greenhouse gas emissions will be reduced. Energy production is a great benefit for the energy economy. But let me say, Mr. President, Excellencies, that now we are modernizing the technologies. The new technologies of a closed fuel cycle is a new field of cooperation, of future cooperation. Small NPPs and new Rosatom technologies, and all the fields we are working on together with Rosatom is a field of science technologies. There are lots of them, and Rosatom is providing to us assistance upon your instructions, and I would like to express my gratitude for the ongoing support. Your Excellency, Mr. President, you've also touched upon cooperation within BRICS. There are lots of financial institutions, including the Development Bank within BRICS, and under support of IAEA, we would like to use this instrument in order to construct new NPPs. Green energy, green sources of energy, clean sources of energy suffer under the underfinancing. All leaders and all colleagues have pointed that nuclear energy is green and environmentally free energy. The treatment of nuclear waste is a problem. We are working on the solar and wind energy. But we can say for sure that nuclear energy is clean and environmentally friendly. Dear colleagues, we have an agreement with France and other states to develop this field. And we have an agreement to finance new projects. We are conducting research in the field of nuclear energy. We cooperate on nuclear isotopes. And in the field of transfer of technologies, we coordinate our work with Rosatom and with all our Egyptian institutes and institutions in order to conduct joint research. Once again, thank you for your invitation. Over the past several years, by the end of this year, we'll be able to implement 40% of the work envisaged under the construction project. I hope that we'll be able to accelerate the construction pace. Today we started the work, an important stage of work already. Thank you, Rosatom, for your support.
Thank you, Minister Smart. We can't but move to another African country because it ranks 7th in terms of uranium extraction, that is Niger, which is a country that is developing dynamically. It is also a country that has embarked upon the path of nuclear energy. It gives me great pleasure to give the floor to Minister of Mines of Niger, Mr. Ousmane Abarchi. Over to you, sir.
Monsieur le Président de la Corporation Rosatom,
Director General of Rosatom, Excellency, Mr. President of the Russian Federation, President Lukashenko, ladies, gentlemen, from the outset, allow me to perform a very pleasant task of giving to you, Mr. President of the Russian Federation, a fraternal salutation from the President of the Republic of Niger, General Abdurrahman Tiani. Speaking here today, I would like to express the solidarity of the Republic of Niger with the Islamic Republic of Iran that has been subject to extraordinary aggression. I refer in particular to the nuclear program of Iran. It is my great honor to be here today, and in my capacity, I would like to support President Lukashenko's position, who has just explained to us that some countries are reluctant to share their nuclear technology. So the presence of Niger at this table is a visible testimony to Russia's noble conduct, which consists in sharing nuclear technology. Those who believe that we are a very small country, a very poor country, will be surprised to find out that we are not poor, nor are we small. Everything starts with atom, with nuclear. There are two things I would like to say. First, I would like to remind you of the thing that everyone is aware of. But at the same time, I would also like to share our deepest conviction with you. The first thing brings me to say the following. Everyone knows how important uranium is. Everyone knows how important it is from the point of view of life of citizens wherever they are living in any country. The thing is, electricity consumption is growing on a world scale year in, year out by 3%. That said, 700 million people, regrettably, have no access to electricity. But these are people we're talking about, not animals. So, it's true, we cannot guarantee energy supply based on solely renewable sources of energy. And that means that we need other sources. And NPPs are precisely that. They are the solution that allows us to ensure a continuous supply of electricity. It also helps us avoid large-scale greenhouse gas emissions. NPPs are a unique source of energy because we are fully aware that 1 kilo of uranium is sufficient to produce as much energy as would have required tons of coal or gas. So this is not just solely about ensuring energy supply, this is also about social justice. We need to make sure that electricity is accessible to every person living on this planet. We need to make sure that every human being has access. This should not be a privilege, this should be a right. And indeed, Niger occupies an important place in that regard. For the first time in 1956, uranium deposits were discovered, and since that time, our country has emerged to be one of the world's biggest producers of uranium. We thereby ensure energy security of numerous countries. However, these countries have not always been grateful to us for that. But there is one thing I would like to assure you of. I think your countries have also suffered the consequences of such ingratitude. I would like to remind you that back in 2009, when our former president demanded that one country that had exploited our uranium deposits for 40 years should revisit the uranium prices, when our government back then expressed its desire to pursue nuclear energy, the president of that very country said, "Don't even dream about that." Excellencies, Mr. President, I believe you understand what country I'm referring to. And you know, we have natural reaches, the world's biggest uranium deposits. Our deposit is the world's biggest. That's true. 2,340,000 tons of uranium. But of course, our country is not empty-handed. and we would very much like to explore this cooperation with the Russian Federation. This is our proposal. Let's work together on exploring, on developing our uranium deposits. But it's not just all about numbers. We understand that incumbent upon us is the world responsibility, because the production of uranium is also the cornerstone of the world's energy security. This is also the cornerstone of energy transition across the world, in all the countries. The president of the Russian Federation has just told us about the possibility of a situation when uranium deposits are not going to be sufficient, say by 2080 or so. But I think more deposits will have been discovered in our country by that time. So far, we've only surveyed 500,000 tons of uranium and confirmed these deposits. But I think that these deposits account for only 20% of everything that is hiding in the subsoil of the Republic of Niger. And this brings me to the second aspect that I wanted to cover. I would like to say that I have a strong conviction. The development of uranium deposits does not rest solely on technology. It also involves responsibility in the eyes of the world community, because many countries are dependent upon us, as well as consumers and investors. And first and foremost, succeeding generations. As I have just pointed out, the Republic of Niger is a producer of uranium, and thereby it facilitates energy security on the planet in general. And yet, regrettably, this has not brought about economic prosperity for our country. That is why I believe the time has come to enter a new stage of our development. It's time we proposed new approaches. It's time we revisited the way we use our nuclear potential. And these new approaches, they are something I would call nuclear dividends. What do I mean when I say nuclear dividends? Well, it's very simple. These are the reaches that are generated by nuclear, and these riches have to belong to everyone, not just to a select group of countries. These riches should not be solely the appanage of investors. It has to be the cornerstone of general universal energy security. We are fully cognizant of the fact that nuclear energy as a whole, is the engine of progress, and that is why we have formulated a national strategy for the development of energy. And we would like to build 2 energy units in our country with a capacity of 2,000 megawatts. That is the proposal by the Republic of Niger to Rosatom. We are willing to work with Rosatom on this project, certainly under the supervision of the IAEA. I believe that the IAEA Director General has seen for himself that the Republic of Niger has the necessary capabilities for that. You'll tell me that our ambitions are too big. Indeed, our ambitions are big. But it's important to us, and it's also important to the African continent as a whole. Mr. President, I have just attended a session where I got familiar with different projects of NPP construction. Unfortunately, I've seen that just one NPP is under construction in the African continent, and that is the NPP in Egypt. Unfortunately, that is not sufficient. Yes, there is also South Africa, but that's it. So if we want to develop jointly, and President Lukashenko has reminded us of that, the Russian Federation is willing to share its nuclear secrets, and if that's the case, then we are willing to cooperate. And on our side, we are ready to provide our uranium deposits. Our cooperation with the Russian Federation is going to be an example of noble, lofty aspirations. The Russian minister has already visited Niamey, the capital of Niger, and within the framework of our energy cooperation, we discussed the possibility of cooperation in nuclear energy. We're certainly interested in technology, we're interested in the training of new professionals, and of course, I'm referring first and foremost to the peaceful use of energy, Mr. Director General of the IAEA. But there are other aspects, other avenues we'd like to pursue, such as the use of nuclear technology for agriculture, as well as for... And also, I would like to develop our hydropower, nuclear energy, nuclear medicine. And we would also like to develop our mining industry. As you can see, some of our infrastructure facilities are in a deplorable state. So we want to develop our energy sector by introducing the nuclear component into the energy mix. Ladies, gentlemen, excellencies, that's what I am proposing. The nuclear dividends, which means the use of resources, the preservation of the environment, transparency, as well as innovation. And another thing, equal use of our resources, as well as redistribution of wealth in a fair and a just fashion. Certainly, we see the glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, and it has to be shared on all of the projects we are involved in. Excellencies, in the course of the 20th century, we saw the dawn of the nuclear age. First, it was marked by fear of domination by one countries and impoverishment of other countries, but we want the 21st century to be different. We want the century to be that of justice. And if we develop our nuclear energy on the basis of a responsible approach, this will provide us with an excellent future, and the Republic of Niger, which is rich in uranium deposits, is resolute. It's determined to be together with Russia on this path. We are open to this cooperation, and we are fully aware of the responsibility we bear for building this beautiful future. So let us work together, building beautiful projects, starting from small things. Everything starts from an atom, and this is the basis upon which we shall construct prosperity as well as solidarity. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Abarchi. Thank you for concrete proposals as well as for the words. And the proposals you've made with regard to our bilateral cooperation, they're very interesting. And Excellencies, we're moving on to a very important final stage of our discussion. Next, we will give the floor to representatives of non-government international organizations and associations. And I think this is going to be the greatest part of our discussion. I would like to give the floor to Madam Sama Bilbao y Leon. She is the head of the World Nuclear Association, which brings together more than 100 countries and organizations and companies. And despite the fact that these companies are rivals in terms of commerce, they still manage to work constructively, trying to expand international cooperation. It is important to point out that not just nuclear organizations, but other organizations are showing interest in nuclear technology. Sama, over to you. Please share your experience. How do you manage to preserve this consensus and stability in a big international organization? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Likachev, Mr. President, Excellencies. It's truly a pleasure to be here today with all of you. Thank you for the opportunity to join in this first Global Atomic Forum in the context of the World Atomic Week. And it is also a pleasure to celebrate with all of you 80 years of the Russian nuclear industry. As you very well said, World Nuclear Association is the international body that represents the global nuclear industry. We have more than 250 member organizations in 44 countries in all continents. And really what we are trying to do is bring together the global nuclear industry so we actually share best practices, and we are the voice of the united global nuclear industry in all issues. So we work together in fuel cycle issues, we work together in supply chain, we work together in workforce issues, we work together in making sure that we have the right policies, the right markets, the right regulations to have financing. So all those issues we are tackling from the point of view of the industry. And we are proud to work also together with the International Atomic Energy Agency, bringing, in addition to the expertise of the agency and Mr. Grossi, the expertise of the industry to many newcomer countries that are looking to moving forward very pragmatically. So I would say that among some of the activities that the association is doing, I would highlight our efforts in the Net Zero Nuclear Initiative, which I think it captures a little bit this collaboration, this joint united nuclear industry at a global level. We launched this initiative in 2023 at COP28 in Dubai. And the goal of this initiative is to at least triple global nuclear capacity by 2050. And today, it has assembled a very ambitious coalition. We have over 31 countries, and I really hope that perhaps by COP30, some other countries that are here will also join this coalition. We also have 14 of the world's largest banks and financial institutions and 16 large energy users, including Google, including Amazon, including Meta, Dow Chemical, and many other large energy users. So what I'm trying to say here is what Mr. Grossi expressed today, what I think is quite unique. For the first time, I would say in a long time, there is consensus in society from the policymakers, from the financiers, from the energy users, from civil society, that using nuclear energy is an imperative if we are serious about meeting climate change goals in a manner that is timely, that is cost-effective, and that is equitable. In other words, that we ensure socioeconomic development, quality of life, prosperity for everybody in the world. So as I said, this coalition of the ambitious recognizes that without a significant expansion in nuclear energy, there is no way that we are going to achieve this. So I do want to share with you what this means, because triple or nuclear capacity perhaps doesn't mean anything for many of us. So today, we have about 400 gigawatts electric of nuclear capacity at a global level. And this provides about 9% more or less of our global electricity. So if we were to triple global nuclear capacity by 2050, we will simply maintain 9 to 10% of global electricity. Why? Because the demand is growing very quickly. The world is trying to industrialize, the world is trying to electrify, and nuclear energy needs to go at this speed. So our studies tell us that tripling global nuclear capacity by 2050 will be around 1,200 gigawatts of nuclear electricity. And by the way, our World Nuclear Energy Outlook report that we will release at COP30 this year tells us that this is well within reach. If we look at the commitments of many countries in this table and others around the world, we really are there. So, but at the same time, this really means that 10% is really not enough. We need to be more ambitious because this is just electricity. And we know that nuclear energy can help with much more than that. Could be a game changer to decarbonize, well, many aspects of the economy. District heating, shipping, as we discussed a second ago, process heat for the chemical industry, for the petrochemical industry, for the metallurgical industry. There is infinite opportunities for nuclear to actually contribute more into society. And this is why you will always hear me say at least tripling global nuclear capacity. So really, this is just more than numbers. This is actually bringing together all these stakeholders that already understand the full potential of nuclear energy and together catalyze this joint effort so we can actually remove all the obstacles and actually accelerate what we need in order to deliver the full potential of nuclear energy. So maybe I think I will say that for this, what we need is a united approach and a new mindset. We need the bold, visionary leadership that we are seeing around this table and in many other places around the world. So I would maybe just end with a thought that I wanted to be taken as a positive thought. So, the nuclear industry is often reminded that we are all in this together, that our risks transcend national borders. And many people will say, well, an accident anywhere is an accident everywhere. Well, I want you to think of the other side of this coin. I want to highlight the enormous opportunity. And this opportunity also transcends borders. So I would like to remind you all and the global nuclear industry that a successful nuclear project anywhere will translate in success for nuclear energy everywhere. So with this thought, I really think that we would like to work together and deliver, because the more that we deliver, the most opportunities there will be for all of us. So thank you, спасибо, for the opportunity to join you today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your constructive cooperation, Sama. Sama has just presented some outlooks, and according to our estimates, more than 70% of future demand for nuclear technologies will be covered by Global South countries, and primarily by BRICS countries. BRICS is the heart of an emerging multipolar world order. Starting from the past year, the nuclear platform of BRICS has been operational. It is led by Madam Elsie Poulet, and I'm glad to give her the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Likachev, for the introduction. Your Excellency, Mr. President, heads of state, ladies and gentlemen. Today we live in a time when the world is searching for affordable, reliable, and sustainable solutions to the growing demand for energy while preserving our planet for future generations. The BRICS countries have stepped forward as true leaders of this transformation. Together, we present not only almost half of the world's population, but also a dynamic force of economic growth, technological innovation, and people of multipolar cultural code. BRICS is also a leader in the nuclear energy, and our leadership is showcased by the fact that a third of the world's nuclear fleet and more than 70% of nuclear power plants are being constructed in the BRICS states. Nuclear energy stands out as a cornerstone of our common agenda. Nuclear power is reliable, low carbon and scalable. It provides the backbone for industrial development, energy security and technological sovereignty. However, the true measure of progress is not simply in the speed of innovation or clean energy sources, but it's in its ability to serve humanity. Within a human-centered worldview, nuclear power becomes more than a technology. It becomes a responsibility, a promise to safeguard both present and future generations. This is precisely why BRICS Nuclear Platform holds such a unique and strategic role within our platform. We embrace a new humanistic agenda, one where human dignity, security, and development stand at the very center of our global vision. The platform is a business association of companies and entities from BRICS and partner countries. Our platform is aimed at leveraging on the best expertise, technological and production capacities in nuclear. We consist of participants from 8 countries: Russia, China, Brazil, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Bolivia. We remain open and glad to welcome new members from BRICS countries and BRICS partner states. The platform's philosophy consists in equal, non-discriminatory approach to both vendors and consumers, and its mission will be to assist in the implementation of nuclear energy in the BRICS and partner states. The platform covers most topics relevant for nuclear industry like financing, supply chain, innovative technology transfer, transparency, and public acceptance. We aim to make a world a better place for the benefit of humankind, with a special focus on human development. We witness how BRICS itself grows stronger year by year. The expansion of membership and the deepening of cooperation across energy, finance, and education confirms that BRICS is a living architecture of global multipolarity, where nuclear energy is now firmly embedded in the BRICS agenda. The Russian Federation is making a strong contribution to this shared effort. Russia has decades of experience in the peaceful use of nuclear power and world-leading technologies and continues to play a pivotal role in shaping our future. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank you, Mr. President, on behalf of the BRICS Nuclear Platform, for your immense contribution and support for the development of nuclear energy all over the world. Our collective task is clear. We must align science and conscience, progress with responsibility, and power with humility. If we succeed, the humanistic agenda will become the cornerstone of a new global order. And this agenda must be integrated into the platform's multilateral projects, which will ensure the best results in the global business and cooperation. Today, many international organizations are developing common standards and regulations across key sectors of the economy that contribute to cross-regional projects and cooperation strengthening. For BRICS, I believe it will be truly groundbreaking to launch similar work in nuclear business. With your support, Mr. President, and with the active participation of BRICS leaders, we can make this vision a reality. Спасибо.
Спасибо большое, Эльзе. Вам спасибо огромное.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elsie, for your personal leadership in development and creation of the BRICS nuclear platform. I'm sure it has a great future. Distinguished participants of the discussion, we are planning our nuclear projects for hundreds of years, which means that many generations to come will work on the projects that we have developed, and development of the young generations and young youth projects is a key to success. There is an impact team 2050, and one of the representatives of this company, Diana Gamazova, is here with us. She was born in Kazakhstan. She received an education in the UK, but she wants to work for Kazakhstan. Diana, over to you, and what I want to know is where and how you see the connection of the generations. What shall we do in order to make sure that your generation is better prepared to continue the projects that we are launching today? Good afternoon, everybody. Impact Team 2050 is a team of young leaders from different countries promoting nuclear technologies among young people. Yesterday, on the margins of the World Atomic Week, the work of a 100-person team from 33 countries was launched. They represent parliaments, international agencies, think tanks, and nuclear entities. Together, we study challenges and prospects of nuclear technologies. We feel that despite cultural differences, we share an understanding that the world is seeking justice. We want to. There is no discrimination in the world. It's obvious that without nuclear technologies, humanity cannot make a step forward, just as it can't without new values and principles. That was mentioned already by Ms. Pule, and we, the young people, agree that there is no alternative to the use of nuclear technologies. We understand that we, young experts, will lead ministries and organizations in the future, and we believe cooperation should be based on new principles. We decided to prepare a declaration of international cooperation where we will lay down our principles. Using this unique opportunity on behalf of young leaders of all countries, I would like to ask you a question, Mr. President. What should the young people take into consideration? What should be the principles for cooperation to make sure humanity can use nuclear technologies in the interest of all countries? Thank you. Well, it's quite an unexpected question. It's unexpected, but I'll repeat what has already been voiced here. It is equality and access to technologies. That's number one. The second is responsibility, and particular attention to the safety concerns and safety issues. Those are two main principles, and all the rest is auxiliary, and if there is a wish to cooperate, all issues will be resolved. There's been a dispute over whether nuclear technologies can be considered as clean source of energy. Of course they can. I believe the debates have already been closed. Clean sources of energy such as wind and solar energy require accumulators, accumulating batteries. And what shall be done to these accumulators? So there are no 100% clean energy sources, but nuclear energy is one of them, definitely. Nuclear technologies are developing. We spoke today about the closed cycle technologies, which will lead to endless use of resources with the colossal output and the minimum burden on the environment. And it is a technology of the future. And the future belongs to young researchers, to young scientists, young engineers, and young experts. So thank you so much for developing this topic, and I would like to wish success to all of us. Thank you so much, and thank you for this work.